Our next guest is one of my favorites, not just as a broadcaster, but as a human being. And this Monday night, he will be in Baltimore, and he will be calling Ravens-Lions for Westwood One. It is a pleasure, as always, to welcome back into the program the great Kevin Harlan, who is with us now here on GCR. Kevin, it's Glenn, and Stan the Fan Charles is in studio with me on a Friday. It's always a thrill, sir. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Great to be on with you, Glenn. Stan, thanks for having me. Excited to come to Baltimore on Monday for it's been a while since we've had a Monday night game there, but man, every time I lay my eyes on Lamar, I get going. I think anybody that covers this game of the NFL, speaking generally, broad picture, relishes the chance to see great play, like transcendent players. And to me, that's what Lamar is. He's off to a terrific start. Team is playing well, and I can't wait to get there against a quality Detroit team, which is trying to come back from losing two coordinators, and that is a very difficult thing to do in the NFL.
Well, Kevin, as you know, we have petitioned the league to demand that you call every Lamar Jackson game. And we always assume that when you're doing a Lamar Jackson game, something magic will happen so that we can get a Kevin Harlan call for it. I needed to talk to you about the thing that you had last week because I was captivated by it. As a broadcaster, calling what you see in front of you, and then the hang on part of it when you see a flag down. I love the fact that it's just general reaction. Like you're not worried about, did I get something wrong? I didn't get it wrong. I called what I saw in front of me, and then what I saw in front of me, as it turns out, was something different entirely because there was a penalty on the field.
And you don't see that leverage call very often. And you're referring to the Broncos and Colts from last week, where a 60-yard attempt was clearly no good. Looked like the Broncos had held on. A flag was thrown after a quick discussion on the field, and sheepishly thrown, I should say as well, because they're going to call a play leverage. It's like holding on an offensive line, right? There's holding on every play. There's holding in every secondary. And there's probably some form of leverage in every kick. And the fact that it was not blocked and was so bad and a miss, and then a 15-yard penalty on top of it, do you consider those things in the call? No. I've always been told that on long pass plays, clearly look back to see if there's a flag thrown, because that happens far more frequently than a flag on a kick and leverage on a call like that. You can spot offsides. You can see movement. And you know that even if the kick is up or good or not good, you know, you've got kind of on a leverage call, it takes, and here's what I think happened. I don't know this. I'm guessing. These coaches are just brilliant in their tape study. And a lot of times they will give a flare. They'll give a heads up official.
Yeah.
This team loves to vault. This team loves to leverage. This team loves to hold, whatever it is. These coaches are constantly in the ear of these officials on the sideline, giving them, be alert on, watch this. They've been doing it all day. They could do it here. And sure enough, I think there may have been some possible strategy in that by the Colts to get that re-kicked. And sure enough, we saw what we saw, a dramatic close to a good game. It was a really enjoyable game.
Kevin, speaking of film study, I imagine you've done some film study yourself of the Lions. How are they looking moving on from the Ben Johnson era? And in a way, given where they are, was the loss to the Packers sort of a blessing in disguise in a way?
I think so, Stan. You lose two coordinators, and you can't help but feel that void. And I think that they've gone through camp, off-season and camp, dealing with that. So they're well into that story.
Yep.
But until you play games and you got the heat of the game, the heat of the moment, you really don't know. And I think that's what Green Bay, as you're referring to, the Green Bay loss did. It kind of woke them up a little bit. And the one thing Dan Campbell, the Lions coach, is good at is getting everybody on the same page and getting them mentally right.
Yeah.
And they showed it in week 2 with 52 points, right? I mean, they came out and they blasted the Bears and had the kind of game that they know they can have. They've lost a couple on the line. You're never the same team from one year to the next. They're still trying to prove them. They've got a target on their back because of what they've done the last couple years. Teams take them differently. They approach them differently because they're now one of the elite teams in pro football. So you're dealing with all these things now that you've got to contend with. New faces on your line and on defense. And your coordinator's gone, target on your back, and you're the favorite in the division. So the Packers were juiced. I mean, they were ready to go and gave them that loss on an opening weekend. Lions, I think, showed their true colors, what they did last week with the 52 points.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get a challenge like they, this is about as big a challenge as they could possibly get this early on the road at night against that quarterback and that Raven defense. I mean, it's going to be everything they can handle. And I think it could turn out to be one of the great games of this early season.
Kevin Harlan is with us. He'll, of course, be on the call for Westwood One on Monday night. Kevin, one of the themes that I have on this show is anomaly versus accomplishment, right? Like, we'll see all these numbers, and I try to figure out, is that really an accomplishment or is it an anomaly? And one of the big storylines that I have no doubt you guys will be diving into, you and Kurt, on Monday, will be Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC, which sits at 24-2. Now, to be fair, the last time an NFC team came
That's
to Baltimore,
pretty good, isn't it?
It's pretty good, right? Now, the last time an NFC team came to Baltimore was the 2, right? Like, that was the Eagles last season. But I guess the question is, how predictive? Like, do we treat that? I feel like around here we treat it as, well, it has to mean something. There has to be value in that number. We have to know that, like, the theories that the teams don't see Lamar quite as much, they're just not as prepared when they see him. There has to be value in it, but I'll pose it to you. What do you make of anomaly versus accomplishment, and how predictive it is that Lamar Jackson's 24-2 against the NFC?
Well, I like, Stan, you laugh at that number, right? I mean, like, it's unfathomable, but he is one of one. There are many quarterbacks that have the same kind of basic feel to their play, drop back in the pocket, maybe a little maneuverability. But Jackson is as feared a quarterback as you'll find in all of pro football. And I was just talking to Kurt Warner about this the other day. I said, you know what I want to see? I want to see a guy that's won so much personal accolade like Lamar has. And I'd love to see him in a Super Bowl on a big stage, because it's like I just and Kurt, so me too, and Kurt always is kind of a contrarian and saying, yeah, but you got to earn it, no, he said, me too. He said the game deserves to see him on that kind of platform. And we know we have interconference games, and we've got one coming up on Monday night. But when you don't see it on a regular basis, as the division foes do in the North, and the greater AFC, and you're an NFC team trying to deal with this, I can't think of a more difficult defensive coordinator proposition than trying to beat him. I just even, and Mahomes has got a very special set of skills, and we know Allen does, but Lamar just, I don't know, man. I put him at the top. I just think the guy just possesses so much, and now with no picks through the first couple of weeks, and he just, I mean, I think we've all realized that he has grown, at least from afar, exponentially every year in some form. Like, he's never in the headlines. He's all football. He's all team. He drinks up the coaching. Like, he's got all these wonderful things. He checks all these boxes. And remember when he came in, and they were using him as a gadget guy, which I just kind of shake my head at, and where that journey from then to now has taken him, and just what he's done. So you bring up the 24-2, and it's just I do, but there's nothing like him in the NFC. I mean I'm sure I'm missing somebody here, but maybe Kyler Murray at Arizona, because he can run, but he's not he's not the presence guy that Lamar is.
Jaden Daniels is the one that everybody's starting to compare.
Yeah. You know, I listen. I'm gonna just stick with what I've seen with this guy and just the coaching he gets, not just from the coordinator, but the way John gets him ready every week. I'm telling you, I just think this is he's about. I guess my point is he's about as difficult a quarterback, and I'm putting Mahomes in that category, and Allen and any of the. He's as difficult a guy to prepare for as any single player at any position in this league. And I think that's what makes him 24-2, for instance.
I have one question for you, but before I do that, just the way I gamble, I've been a do theory bettor, so I've been betting against Lamar
against
the NFC.
Oh boy,
about 20 straight games.
And it finally paid off against the Eagles. You finally hit one,
and I kept increasing my bets. Yeah,
boy.
Hey, Kevin. I know Glenn knows Kurt Warner very, very well. For those of us that don't, tell us a little bit about what it's like working with him on your broadcast.
Well, I've had the distinct honor, Stan, of working with two guys that work as hard at broadcasting as they did as players. And I think it came from the same kind of basic background. I'm speaking of Rich Gannon and Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Rich made one Super Bowl. He did win an MVP. We know Kurt's multiple appearances in the big game, his MVPs, and his position in the Hall of Fame. Both began with kind of quiet beginnings, but as their careers evolved, they ascended, and they realized somewhere along that journey that you've got to outwork everybody, whether it was physically or mentally. And that's where both of these guys, to me, are the same. And I always thought that Rich, who had other analysts at CBS and other networks call him during the week asking his opinion on what he had seen in tape study that week and around the league, because Rich prided himself on watching every game as much as he could, getting ready for the game we were going to broadcast. So Kurt Warner used to, Stan, do his NFL Network pregame show, fly back home to Phoenix, and then take a red eye in the last flight out of Phoenix to our Monday night game and travel all night long to get to wherever we were going to broadcast. And it was exhausting. But he did it because he had kids at home. He was helping coach his son's team in high school. And so he kind of constructed himself like that. And amongst all those different things, watching every snap of every game. Now, because they're empty nesters, he goes and watches his son play on Saturday at Fresno State. He flies into LA Saturday night. He does his pre-prep for the Sunday morning show on NFL Network. And now he goes right to LAX, and now he flies to our broadcast part. So he has got feet on the ground every early evening, late afternoon for our Monday night location. So he'll be in Baltimore by 6, 7 o'clock on Sunday night. And what he's been doing is watching as many games live as he can. And he has this notebook that he carries with him. And he sits there and puts meticulous notes on everything he sees, not just quarterbacks, but everything. So that when he is asked, to on our Monday night broadcast to talk league-wide, there's not a better, more informed person to listen to, culminating the Sunday games of yesterday and the Sunday night game than Kurt, because he's watched every snap of every game every single week. And these notes he takes, and I watch him do it. So we get to the broadcast booth 3.5 to 4 hours before kickoff on Monday. He has his laptop, and we're driving over, and he's watching. And then we get in the booth, and he's watching again. And he works harder than about anybody I've ever been around in any sport. And it is a honor to be with him on Monday nights. A long answer to a great question, but people don't see what he puts into it. And I will tell you that not every analyst is like that. And most of them aren't even close. They'll do their game, and then that's all they'll do. He does the entire league because he's got 2 national broadcasts on Sunday morning and on Monday night. And he takes great pride and having an answer for anything that could be thrown his way or question or any kind of analysis needed to talk about any team at any stage of the season.
So is he, during his broadcast, is he watching film
other
of
other
other
games during the
games?
commercials?
You would think so.
Yeah,
No,
right.
unlike Boomer, who would watch Ranger games, he would watch New York Ranger games because he loves hockey. And so sometimes I'd be calling a game on Monday night, and here comes Lamar Jackson with the 1st and 10, and I'd hear this slam of a fist. I'd go, what? And I look, and someone scored on the Rangers. So yeah, it was always, I always had to kind of get my wits about me that sometimes, but he was so talented, Boomer was, and he was much like Kurt and Rich. He watched all the highlights. He knew all the stories, and he had a big opinion on everything. And that was his great mark. He had a big opinion, pro or con, on any player and any team. But he could do two things at once. He could watch his beloved Rangers in the NHL broadcast on his iPad, and he could watch the game in front of him and comment succinctly and accurately.
Kevin, it's my goal to not keep you 30 minutes as I've done many times in our history together. So I do want to knock out a couple things if I could. One, I know it would come up if for some reason you get to the fourth quarter on Monday night and the Ravens are up by 2 scores. You guys are going to have to bring it up, right? And we saw it again in week 1 and what happened against the Bills. There's been a bit of a history, and I know the reverence, you've already referenced it. I know the reverence you have for John Harbaugh, and you know that I think the world of John Harbaugh. But what do you make of why these things might keep happening for the Ravens and how it might impact them should they be in that position again on Monday night?
Well, I just think it puts them in a position to handle it better. I just think everything you've gone through, and it's funny, this week I've got I'm in LA on Sunday for CBS with Broncos Chargers. So I've been talking to Jim all week, and here I've got John, and I think I've told you this, Glenn, and Stan, you may not know, my brother is John's agent. So, like, I'm so connected, and then I know Tom Crean from basketball, who's married to a Harbaugh sister.
Yep,
so, like, I know this family so well, and I just know how they approach things like this, and I just think they are lesson, learn, improve the next time, build your callus by going through tough situations and make it better the next time. So until you prove it, you don't know if you're able to have that answer, right? And so that constantly becomes something that will come up. But I just think that both the Harbaughs, and not saying because I've got them back-to-back nights, one in the West Coast and then one on the East Coast, but I do think that they represent the best part of this league in terms of preparing their team, getting them all on the same page and ready for any situation. And the league is so good and so adept at jumping on situations, knowing there's a vulnerability, knowing there's a history, but the Harbaughs, John in this case, they know it well too, and Lamar knows it. And so I guess you just say, you learn from your past and you hope you make it better in the future. And I know that's how they enter all those kinds of situations.
And then you bring up that game you're doing on Sunday, and I'm angry it's not the big one that everybody's going to get in the country, but I will be red zoning on Sunday to spend more time with you.
I think you guys do get it in Baltimore, actually.
Oh, do we?
I think
okay. That would be great news.
It's like a weird...
you're right. I just saw that. You're absolutely right. That's like the one random
I think
market.
it's kind of a weird map,
yeah,
like we're the late game, and so you probably will get that game.
That's wonderful news. I like that a lot. You've done so many Chiefs games, and I can't do it. I cannot count the Chiefs out. I still think they're the favorites to win the division, but I get it. I was high on the Broncos coming in, and to your point, there's nothing not to like about what you've seen from the Chargers so far. Do you start to buy that the Chiefs may be vulnerable in the AFC West at this point?
Well, it's never been harder, I think, and you got to win your division, right, Glenn? And it always begins every camp. Well, our main concerns are division, and then everything from that point will take care of itself. But there may be kind of cannibalizing in that division. And I don't know that you're going to see a big win total because you got to play them twice. And you can see a lot of splits. Even the Raiders are more difficult. And it may not show quite yet, but the culture has changed with Pete Carroll. But clearly in Los Angeles, and just watching their last 2 games as I have this week and getting ready for Sunday, Herbert looks different and better. I think they feel better about their ground game. It's not quite where they want it, but they feel better about it. They've got, I think, a real nice complement and a young emerging wide receiver, coupled with Keenan Allen, the veteran who's now back with the Chargers after being in Chicago with the Bears. I think their line is better. They handled a big loss at left tackle by moving the right tackle over, this Alt, who's going to be a perennial all-pro guy. And you know all about great tackles in your city. So I'm confident the Chargers are what we think they are. And I think that Denver is so well coached. They've got the right voice. I'm very impressed with Bo Nix. They're trying to get their running game up because that's the quarterback's best friend, right? Is a good run game. And they've got weapons at receiver, emerging guys there. They've got a first-class defense. They brought in 2 San Francisco defenders, and Hufanga in the back end, who's been terrific, and then Dre Greenlaw, who's been injured with a quad and has not played in the first couple games, and they've already ruled him out for this Sunday. But he helps in their pass coverage in the middle there on the second level, which they need. But Denver is all we think they are. They're going to be terrific, and they are good, So I think it's one of the best. I'm a little bit biased here. I think I've been lucky to get maybe the 2 best games this weekend in Denver and the Chargers, and then a game in your backyard in Baltimore against the Lions. I cannot wait for Monday night. I got to be honest. I think Goff is going to let it fly. I think Lamar is going to play like he's played. I mean, the 2 terrific coaches, proud teams that easily could see each other in San Francisco or Santa Clara in February. I mean, this game has all the markings of a preview of what we could see in Super Bowl 60.
You travel on multiple coasts. It would be super easy for you to say, I don't have time to do this. Kevin Harlan, I tell you every time, I hope you know, I never take for granted that you always go out of your way to make time for us. And it truly means the world to me, brother. I love you. Appreciate you. Can't wait to see you in Baltimore on Monday. Thank you, as always, for doing this.
Thank you. And can I just say one quick thing? I'm on a lot of these shows, and I always look forward to when Griffin gets a hold of me. You ask, and now you've added Stan. So I think it's the first time I've been on with him. So you guys ask great questions. You clearly know you're into it, and it makes such a difference. And it's not the same kind of question and angle. It's always, something that makes you think. And I love that. And it is an honor to be on with you whenever we do a Baltimore game. And I hope we've got many more in us as the season unfolds.
Keep giving you that honor.
Yeah, we hope there's a million of them. Kevin Harlan, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Griffin.
Appreciate
Thank you guys so much.